Today we're going to be talking about something that is relatively simple in the four-wheel drive world, but is very important to know how to do properly. We buy these fancy four-wheel drive tyres with all these cool tread patterns to get more traction, but to use that properly we need to air down our tyres so the surface area increases. It's really important to make sure you've got a good set of tread on your rig. Something that is an LT, a light truck tyre, is a very important aspect of four-wheel driving. Now, it's equally important to know how to use your tyres properly by making sure that you get the right air pressures in them for the situation that you're tackling off-road. Inside the car, when you go on a dirt road or an off-road track, if your tyres are aired up to road pressure or something close to that, it is going to be a pretty harsh ride for you and your passengers. If you release some of that air down to some of the pressures that I'm going to show you soon, you will notice that the vehicle will drive a lot smoother as it soaks up a lot more of those obstacles off-road, whether it be potholes, rocks, sticks, or just corrugations and uneven surfaces. Your components of the vehicle are also feeling those harsh shocks. So airing down your tyres decreases wear and tear on your vehicle as well. Most tyres though do have these sidewall biters on them, and that leads me to the next reason. As you let air pressure out of your tyre, they will bag out. Like we were speaking about before, the top surface area increases as the sidewall bags out, but it also means these sidewall biters can grip into the surface they come in contact with a lot better and pull you forward like they were intended to do. It also means as the tyre is less inflated, it can create a cushion around sharp objects. So if you just press on the sidewall or anywhere of your tyre when it's aired up at road pressures, it's quite hard, quite firm. If a sharp object comes in contact with that, it's going to have more of a chance of creating a puncture if it hits it on the right angle. If it's aired down, it's going to get a bit of a cushion around that sharp object. So the sharp object will push into the tyre at any point, and it will start molding around that object and create a bit of a cushion. So it is really important to make sure your air pressures are down for a lot of reasons, but those are some of them, not limited to those reasons, but they are some of the main ones why it's very important to do this. So let's get stuck into how to air down your tyres and what pressures you should be putting them down to. So each tyre has a valve stem where the air goes in and comes out of. It has a cap on each valve. Really important that they're in place. They prevent dirt and mud build up inside the actual valve system itself, preventing you from using it or damaging it. This is a Schrader valve. Really common valve system that you'll find on things like a bicycle tyre, for instance. So most people have probably used this before and pumped one up. To relieve pressure from your tyre, you can use a proper tyre deflator, something like this one here. This is an Ironman tyre deflator. There are some different variants of this. You won't actually have a gauge attached to it. It might just be this part, and you screw them on, set it to a certain pressure, and they'll let down the tyre to that pressure and then stop. I prefer this style because you can physically see what pressures you're letting the tyre down to. You're in control of it, and it means that you don't let them down too much. If you have an onboard compressor, it's not a problem, but if you don't, it's pretty important you don't let too much air out, otherwise you'll have to go to the nearest servo to pump it up. So if you don't have a proper tyre deflator, you can grab your car keys or a stick, something like this, and you can press down on the valve to relieve pressure from the tyre. Now, it's not ideal to do it like this because you can actually damage the valve quite easily using a stick or keys or something like that that isn't designed to do the job. You also don't know what pressure you're actually running in your tyres if you don't have a gauge. To use the one that I showed you, you just simply screw it onto the valve stem, onto the thread, all the way down until it bottoms out, like that. Now, this style of tyre deflator actually removes the valve from inside the stem and pulls it out, and that's how it relieves the pressure. It doesn't actually push down on the valve. So you've got this on the end here, so you just simply grab the valve with it, move it around until it seats all the way down, and then undo it by rotating it anti-clockwise. And you undo it all the way until you can feel that it's all the way out. And then once you've done that, you can pull back on this piece right here, which will start relieving pressure from the tyre. So once you've got your desired air pressure in your tyre, you need to put the valve back into the stem using the tool. So push down and then just do it up clockwise until you feel that it's firm. Don't over tighten it, it doesn't need it. You just need to go until it's firm and the job's done. And then simply just screw it off the valve thread, replace the valve cap, Cool, so that is job done now, guys. I've let the pressures down in my tires and we're ready to hit the tracks. Now I'm running 19 PSI in both front and rear tires on my vehicle. This could differ depending on things like weight of your car and also the type of tires that you're running. So you might find at 19 PSI, your tires bag out more or less than mine do. So you might need to release more pressure or less pressure depending. It's really just trial and error, but I do find that anywhere from 21 to 19 PSI is a good place to start. In regards to weight of the vehicle changing the way the tire bags out and how much PSI you release, I have no weight on the back of my rig, so I go 19 and 19. If you have weight in the back of your vehicle, you might go 21 in the rear and 19 up the front, and you will find that they'll bag out exactly the same amount because of that added weight over the tires. Let's go and hit the tracks so I can show you exactly what sort of difference this makes for your four-wheel driving. A tyre like the Maxxis Razrs mud terrains on my Navara will offer a substantial amount of grip when four-wheel driving, whether they're aired down or not. As you can see in this clip where they are at around 30 PSI, the surface tread is doing a really good job at walking across this edge. But when I start to move away from the flat surface of the tread, the sidewall biters just can't work as efficiently to keep the tyre from slipping off the surface. So now with the tyres aired down to 19 PSI, I hit the same line again, but with a very different result. Firstly, you can see the tyre is ballooning out perfectly, offering a superior grip to the track, but also allowing the sidewalls to grab on like glue to even this super dry and dusty surface. So right here, I'm actually going to use the sidewalls and only the sidewalls of my Maxxis Razrs to grip onto the surface of this track. I'm actually going to come to a complete stop right here and then reverse back, almost defying the gravity of this track. I was actually blown away when I watched this clip back for the first time at how well the sidewalls actually grip this surface. I did not think that I was only using the sidewalls to move myself backwards and forwards on this line. With some big axle articulation in the deep ruts here, my Nav's powertrain and suspension are simply relying on my Maxxis Razrs to continuously grip the surface as a last point of contact and move the car forward through this obstacle. So what you would find is if your tyres were at road PSI, the tyres wouldn't be able to grip the surface as well and they'd be slipping a lot more, losing traction and making the vehicle not only work harder, but most likely not get through this obstacle. So now having a look from the side, you can actually see the tyre as it wraps around and the tread meets the ground surface, the tyre balloons out and almost wraps around the terrain like a tread blanket. This allows the tread surface and sidewall biters to grip and help continuously pull the vehicle forward when the surface gets slippery or uneven. Alright guys, so that was a lot of fun. I hope this is showing you exactly what I was talking about the difference that it makes when you let the pressures down in your off-road tyres. We spend a lot of money on the tyres that we put on our vehicles, so why not get the most out of them by making sure you've got the correct pressures for the situation. So as you can see, the tyres were ballooning out perfectly through some of those ruts and really offering a good surface area and a ton of grip. Same with the sidewalls as well. These sidewall lugs were biting into all of those ruts through the tight sections. I got a bit of footage there to show you guys exactly what these do and how they actually help pull you forward and protect the sidewalls. These sidewalls have a lot of marks on them now where they've actually rubbed up against sticks, rocks, and just hard dirt. No damage, no punctures. That's exactly why letting down your pressures is so important. That could have been a totally different situation if these were at road PSI. That's exactly why I do these videos, to try and show you guys and explain the differences between things with your four-wheel drive. And I hope this has helped explain what tire pressures actually do for your vehicle. If you enjoyed the video, chuck us a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, guys. I'll catch you in the next video.
Went up the mountain, it wasn't hard to climb at all. At the top I found some relief, I finally got some peace. Carry on, but please don't mess up the mood.